Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. This is the College of Arms meeting for the 6th of May, 2014. We have the usual suspects, all 9 of us, and we could do a down the chart introduction because, as it is, we have, according to the keeper of the agenda, a very light one. So, Amber, care to start with yourself?
Amber Rain, Sable Herald of the College of Arms. And no keeper. Or minute keeper, I guess, is what they call me now, right?
Yes, you keep the seconds, minutes, and hours of our meetings, depending on how long they go. If you ever start keeping the days of one of our meetings, shoot me.
That would be left in Neuronte's hands since she's the one that goes days and days and days. I don't think she sleeps or eats. She's just always going.
Yeah, she just mainlines heraldry. It's much like caffeine in her system. Frank, go ahead.
Okay, I'm Frank, Vare, King of Arms, and not yet Heraldry Kung Fu Master, but working on it.
You're learning very, very, very much, and it's wonderful watching you teach yourself.
Okay, thanks.
Neuronte?
Neuronte, Dracony, Queen of Arms. Still an overglorified secretary. Just a very, very busy one.
Jeraketh, who will be typing as usual, so onward to Paz, who will also be typing. Onwards then to Grant.
Oh, I just noticed I had it muted the wrong way.
Oh, okay, Paz will not be.
I'm the exotic herald from the Caribbean. That's that should do.
Yep.
Grant McGregor, working on one of the generators.
Ronan says no intros needed, just go with it. So he's Ronan. And Trenik?
Hey, Trenik. Nothing at all exotic about me. I'm plain old American. I'm just a lowly macer.
And if you're wondering, everyone, why I'm laughing, I get to see the group chat that you don't get to see. And heralds apparently... We have too good a sense of humor for our own good. So onward, Nerante, to the agenda.
Okay. First item on the agenda, we wanted to hold off the official light colors only with Sable vote.
With a Sable vote?
That.
Good gods, I do not want to see a Sable vote.
Vote. The
Okay.
vote on whether to only use light colors with Sable. We have been running with it this week, but the official vote, Frank asked us to hold off.
Yeah, I did some playing with the color combinations a couple of days after we had our meeting, and that sounds like a larger animal than I usually hear.
That was my Doberman yawning.
I was going to say that it appears to have eaten Ronan.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm okay with limiting Sable to use with lighter colors. A lot of people like to use it with the dark, and I don't have an overwhelming reason, but I'm fine with if we decide to use it with just light colors.
I'm in favor of just the light colors simply because, let's be perfectly honest, Sable and some of the darker colors, especially Azure. Okay, timeout.
We need to be very clear about what exactly we are limiting. just charges, ordinaries, field divisions.
My thought is anything in the overlay department, i.e. a combination of charge on field, charge on ordinary, charge upon other charge, charge entirely upon other charge.
What about ordinaries on field?
Ordinary
Because
on
we
field.
have a lot of people that have either blue ordinaries on black or black ordinaries on blue on Azure.
I think that the best way to... Now, I'm saying that ordinaries should fall into this. No.
I agree. I think they look much better if they get fimbriated.
Mm-hmm. Or if you go for the other color of the pair. Actually, Paz right here has his own arms is a classic example. The tree counterchanged with Blue Celeste and Sable. If that were counterchanged with Azure and Sable, it would lose everything.
Right. Okay, and what about field divisions? So, quarterly, Azure, and Sable.
Quarterly can work. Field divisions work. I mean,
field divisions, yes. Ordinaries and charges, no. Then, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, a field division between, say, Sanguine and Sable is noticeable.
Right. Well, and they're the background anyway.
Yep.
Go. I'm typing.
So, we only have 3 sovereigns right now. Oh, and the medals on light colors, yes. That's the other thing, is... Medals on light colors, medals are medals. Medals can go on any colors. Ronan's back.
Welcome
Yeah,
back.
but we were discussing it for visual appearance, because technically Sable can go in any color too, but because we have a special color palette, we're eliminating it. So doesn't that warrant a discussion for the medals on the colors as well?
I don't think so. I think that's one of those that should probably just stay as we recommend it not. But if that's what they want, I don't think it's a problem.
I don't know. I do see why Grant brings this up. Like blue Celeste on Argent for me is like it's really hard for me to see. And I know that I know it's allowed, and but up until just a few minutes ago, so were dark colors on Sable. So it's definitely something to talk about.
Okay, why are we talking about fried monkeys in the chat?
I don't know. Okay.
Ronan said he had bad internet, so I was just telling him what my internet's like.
I only played with dark colors and Sable. I didn't play with light colors and metals, so I'm not prepared to give an opinion right now. But the Argent on Blue Celeste is something that has been used a few times, and it doesn't provide good contrast. But I also don't really care as much as some other folks about how visible it is at a distance. So,
Like I said, my personal opinion is leave it in the we would recommend it otherwise. Like, you would get better contrast if you did so-and-so. But I think it's allowable if that's what they really want. That's my personal opinion.
Mm-hmm. I'm comparing all of them, and even Argent on Blue Celeste, which is the one that has the lowest contrast, still definitely has noticeable contrast. Conversely, Sanguine or Murray on Sable just doesn't.
okay, and again, are you talking a charge on a field, or if you were per pale, Blue Celeste and Argent, would that be acceptable?
well, per pale blue celeste and argent, I would say is absolutely acceptable. It's
Okay, and then Argent Bend Blue Celeste would be an overlay, right?
yes.
And you would recommend against that, or be okay with that?
Repeat the question.
Would you be okay with a Argent Field with a bend that's Blue Celeste?
An argent field with a bend that is blue celeste. Yes, I would.
Okay, and then I think a recent example would be, say, a Blue Celeste field with a white dragon on it.
A blue celeste field with a white dragon. I'm actually going to construct that in Grant's generator and bring it up for general view.
Okay, keep in mind though, what we're talking about is not just blue celeste and argent.
No, it is
Right.
not.
We're also talking about purpure and argent, which I think is fine. Vert and argent, which I think is fine. Jewels and argent, which I think is absolutely perfect. You know,
Copper and orange. Sorry.
copper and orange, blue celeste and argent, they're bad combinations. But that doesn't mean we should rule out the entire class.
No.
Whereas sable on the dark colors, every one of them is bad.
Mm-hmm. And now I have built. Well, I ended up having to go with a blue celeste antelope because we don't have a dragon in. Because there's no dragon available in Grant's generator yet. But I'm going to screen share what I just built. That's quite noticeable.
Yeah, they're actually not as bad as I initially thought.
And in fact, there it is shrunk down to 25%.
Even on low
Okay,
bandwidth,
so
that's
I do.
still identifiable to me.
So it seems that it's less troublesome than the dark colors with sable.
Yep.
So maybe we can let it go until.
I'm going to bring up all of the. I'm going to change the antelope to each of the light colors and see what people think. There's vert, orange, purple, ghouls, and the oddball known as ash.
They all look fine.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, the blue celeste is a little awkward, but I think, like I said, that's just a single bad combination, not an entire class that's a bad combination.
Yep. And to be honest, even that isn't nearly as bad as we thought it might be.
The reverse is a little worse.
Okay.
The blue celeste field with the argent charge.
The
Okay.
only real bad one is orange on copper, or copper on orange. Everything else is better than that.
Yeah,
Blue
that's
celeste
true.
charge in argent. Going to screen share. And minimizing screen to 25%. I don't think that's bad either.
It
No,
looks the
not
same to
bad.
me.
No.
Could you do a copper and orange just so I can see it?
Yes, I can. Are we talking orange field or orange? Well, either way.
Oh, let's go
I'll
with
do
an
both.
orange antelope. Yeah.
I'll do both. It's a little difficult, but it's still doable.
Yeah. I'll say ugly.
You can still
but
see it. Yeah, you can
It's
still see
ugly
it.
as sin, but
You can still see it better than even a black on argent charge in a chief.
yep. And divisions going to sable. Charge going to Sanguine. Sizing up the sanguine charge on Sable. And shrinking down. And yeah, that loses a lot.
Yep.
And to me, it doesn't. But oh well.
Yep.
Yeah, to me, I can see that better than I can see blue Celeste on white, personally.
Same here.
Yeah, same. Sorry.
Strange for
So-
me, it's I lose this completely right about here.
And
And-
this
You're
might be
colorblind.
different levels of color blindness from different people.
True.
Yeah. So are like purple and black, purpur and no, not purpur, Murray
Murray.
and black, and are we then, rather than banning dark colors with sable or light metals with light colors, maybe we're talking about specifically don't use copper with orange and do not use whatever blue celeste with argent, or do we want to be that specific?
I don't think we want to be that specific, not even close.
I don't think so in the
That-
rules.
Yeah, that causes way too much. That has way too much potential for sounding like we're being arbitrary.
Well, how about
said
this? Just to bring up an idea, what if we altered the 2 or 3 colors that don't work well with each other? Like, what if we changed the orange to be a brighter orange or the copper to be a darker copper?
Well, the copper needs to be light.
Yeah, because the copper.
It would have to be orange would be darker, and then you run into the brown.
Or the copper could be more reddish.
Yeah, I think if you go to the more a slightly redder tint, that might bring it out better.
And then
I
conversely,
think that
we could
would make it clash with the orange even worse.
just an idea, so that we wouldn't have these outlier cases, and we could have more general rules in place without running into issues.
I'm not a good eye for color kind of guy, so I don't know, without experimenting over the weekend and saying, different shades of copper, I wouldn't be able to make a decision about it.
There are mathematical formulas to get the exact colors that are complementary and analogous to each other.
Well, a problem that we're going to run into if we change especially one of the metals is that, while you might be able to stop copper from clashing with orange, if you change it, it's going to clash with something else, whether it's jewels or whatever else.
I think I would just leave it as people are working their arms, try and steer them away from the bad combinations.
Mm-hmm.
There's just a couple of them.
With that thought, why can't you do the same with Sable then? Because, half of us are able to see it, the other half can't, so why wouldn't we just try and steer them away with that as well?
Because Sable is not supposed to be on any colors to begin with, heraldically. The exception we're making is for the light colors.
Well, heraldically, copper isn't a metal.
Yes, it is.
It's
Yeah, it
a
is.
modern thing, but
French Canadians had some craziness going on.
yeah, I think Sable, but we've said Sable is neutral, so to now say it's not, we would have to, address whatever coats of arms that affects. It's a ripple effect.
But when we first decided that Sable was going to be neutral, we had a smaller palette.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
we
that,
hadn't
that,
split them all.
that may be true, but we still have to think about what the ripple effect will be. I'm not saying not to do it. I'm just saying we need to go through the 200 or so devices that have been submitted and see which of those it would affect.
I can tell you exactly which of those it would affect, because we already dealt with this. There are 6 that are affected by it.
That's a good small number.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Well, 6 that had been previously approved. And then there's another 2 or 3, but most of those have other issues as well anyway.
True.
I don't know. With us having the darker colors, I would rather see sable not neutral than to see it on the dark colors, because honestly, it gives me a headache.
That's an option too, because we declared ash a light color. Why don't we declare black a dark color?
That's a good idea.
Do it?
Why don't we declare black a dark color, just like you said, because it's a rule that we're making up just for the game, and we declared ash a light color, so we could do the same with black.
Trenick asked, didn't we have the darker colors? I thought the lighter colors were added later. What it mostly was, with the exception of red, we originally had Jules and Sanguine, the rest of them were a mid-tone that we then split into light and dark.
Yep. The original palette we were using was the SCA's palette plus Sanguine Blue Celeste and Copper. But the presence of Sanguine and Blue Celeste, and also we were also using Brunatra and Orange.
Okay, now here's the problem with saying we're going to put sable back to being a dark color. 90% of our devices have black on another color.
Yeah, we have a very Germanically influenced roll of arms, as it were.
We would have to completely redo everything at this point if we do that. But it's all on Purpure and Blue Celeste, and...
So right now, dark colors are not allowed on light colors, is that correct?
And no,
Right.
no, it's... Dark colors are not allowed on their own light color.
Well, then that wouldn't infringe on anything other than black on ash.
Huh?
What?
If we made black a dark color, that wouldn't cause a problem. It would only cause a problem in the areas where we have sable on ash.
No. Dark colors can't be on light colors. They're all colors.
Adwin just said they could be on everything except their own color.
He's talking about something else.
Yeah, that's not what I meant. I apologize.
You can't have a color on a color, whether it's dark or light.
Yeah, the reason that we have it as a neutral is that in so many non-originally English arms, pretty much only the English and the French viewed it as a color. Everyone else viewed it as a neutral. And because modern heraldry is mostly influenced by everyone, most people are used to seeing black as being able to go on anything.
Right. Like I said, the string of the issue we're having here is originally we had these mid-tone colors. And so we said, well, black can be an exception. And the only thing that was a problem with was Sanguine. And we left that as, well, we'll view that on a case-by-case basis. But then we split the colors into light and dark, and now sable was not standing out well on the dark colors. So now we're having to deal with that. So it's not that, we're just changing our minds or whatever. It's that the conditions in which we made the original decision has changed.
And so we're talking about adjusting the decision to fit the modern environment.
Right.
Well, there does, another question kind of comes across there then when we're discussing this in a broader sense rather than heraldic rules per se, which is kind of, if we're okay with that level of contrast in some cases, then why can't a color be on another color?
A color cannot be on another color for basic identifiability, and that has to do with the fact that you get color combinations such as ghouls, or such as Sanguine and Murray, and it's completely impossible to see.
Which is true on a case-by-case basis, but certain color-on-color combinations work in in my opinion, quite well. Here's a good example.
You've frozen. Oh, there we are. Per on Vert.
Sorry, my cat's climbing all over the place.
Here, I think one of the conflicts we're running into is actually the basic. As strange as it sounds, what Amber touched on is correct. We're looking at how much of this do we want to be influenced by real-world heraldry. We're playing fast and loose with the rules as it is. How far do we go before we basically throw up our hands and say post anything?
I'm not comfortable with that.
It would be hard to maintain a style if we do that.
Yes, thank you, Frank. That's the wording I was trying to go for.
You know, we've had a lot of people on the forums commenting, complaining that the dark colors and sable don't provide enough contrast.
And they really don't, in my opinion.
The only combination that has come up of light colors and metals that I have seen anyone complain about is blue, celeste, and argent. That's the only combination I've seen anyone complain about that's come up.
Trenek, the problem with sable being a color is that since we ruled that it is not, over 80% of the arms that we have it being used as a neutral.
No, I completely understand that. I was just kind of joking.
I mean, really, looking through the arms, it's like 10 down before there's a charge that doesn't have sable on a color.
And I guess there's a point to be made that those bad choices will be self-deterring, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like I said, nobody has tried to do orange and copper because it's just ugly and doesn't show up.
I was going to say, yes, someone might end up... in the SCA, there is, amongst the heraldic community, there is a term called Toyota Arms. It comes from an advertisement campaign that Toyota ran in the United States in the 1980s. At the time, they used the motto, "You want it, you got it." Toyota arms are those arms that technically fit the rules in every possible way. But when you look at them, various parts of your body want to remove various parts of the armature's body. They're perfectly legitimate, but ew. My own SCA arms are actually built off that principle.
Okay, well, obviously we need to continue this conversation, but we do have some other stuff on the agenda. We've already been on this for half an hour.
So yeah, let's table this one for next week. A motion to table that one for 1 week.
Agreed.
Agree.
Let's talk and chat amongst ourselves over the next week and try and figure out where we want to stand on it. Okay. Well, I guess the next two things are off the table, if we're not going to be firm on that yet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. A fimbriation that is a fimbriation of the field color. Specifically, in this case, it was, let me see if I can pull it up. Does anyone happen to remember the guy's name? Oh, wait, there it is. Okay, hold on. That's ridiculously tiny. Come on. Somebody put this in wrong.
What happened?
Somebody put it wrong in the Trello. I can't access it. I'm going to have to go elsewhere to access it. Let's see. Oh, come on. Now I don't know where it is.
Is that Corazon? That pause? Is that the one that?
That is exactly the one I am looking for.
The device submitted for Corazon
There it
is
is. I got it now. I'm just pulling it up. Okay, that's still pretty small. But... Okay.
Okay.
This is the device. If you look, it's got a fimbriation of argent on an argent field.
Nope.
The effect of which the effect of which is essentially making the pile into a charge instead of a field division.
Yes, it is. The issue that I have here actually isn't that.
Okay.
It is the fact that that by its nature, something fimbriated is two identical things stacked on top of each other. In other words, in this case, it is a sable chief invected on top of a chief invected argent, which means what is sitting on the argent field is a chief argent. An argent charge or an argent ordinary can't sit on an argent field. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. But now here's the next question, because I was actually wondering about this on a different case, or not a different case, but a different situation that occurred to me, let's say. If you will discuss for a moment while I pull this up and show you what I'm talking about.
As Ember pointed out in the side chat, with that arms, you don't need to fimbriate it anyway. Argent or sable works perfectly fine on argent.
But it's not.
Oh, yes, but he was wanting the visual.
Yeah, it's not fimbriated because of a rule. It's fimbriated as a style.
Ah. Then what he's going for is basically a tornado as a charge.
I think river, but yeah.
Or he wanted the effect to reduce the size of the chief. Well, that seems more an issue of the generator. Let's see if we can create his arms by hand or using Grant's generator. Grant's shaking his head, so let's see if we can create them by hand.
All right. So, really, we need a way for the generators to be able to nudge things thinner or thicker, or left or right, or up or down. We need some fudge factor in the sausage making.
Yep.
What?
Now I have this horrid image of fudge-flavored sausage.
If we're not going to be able to do that in the builders, then it makes no sense to allow people to do it before we get there.
That's true.
This is the other case that occurred to me.
Again, with a case of there's no fimbriation needed there.
Yeah, it's not needed.
Okay, then make it gold. I just picked Azure at random.
There'd still be no fimbriation needed there.
I understand it's not needed, but a lot of people want it.
But okay, because half the Ankh is on Sable, it doesn't matter that the half that's on Argent is not fimbriated?
No, because it's the rule of half. If half of a metal is on a color, it doesn't matter that the other half of the metal is on a metal.
You're missing the question I'm trying to ask in details that were not intended.
See, like my arms would need the fimbriation because it's pure on black.
This device won't do overall.
Grants will do overall.
Yeah, I'm going to Grants.
Pretty.
Hmm.
And Grant doesn't have ordinaries.
Yeah. So what you're trying to do then is overlay the Ankh overall. I think there's a way to do it. I just don't remember. I think you just surround it by separate parentheses. Surround the Ankh with parentheses. Um, like, yeah, hit the permanent link thing there.
Yeah. It's just being slow because of the Hangout. My
So put-
internet really does not like Hangouts.
Yeah,
Now
I
that
think-
in and of itself is a Gorter's Arms, but
Yeah, that doesn't do anything.
It should. You should be able to
Double parentheses.
maybe Argent between.
anyway, just describe it. Just describe it.
But just
in
where
layman.
it's actually it would be reverse for me. But like if the Ankh was over this, and you wanted it to stand out better on the black, to put an Argent fimbriation, which would do basically nothing on the Argent field, but would make it stand out better against the black.
Would still be problematic because what you'd ultimately be looking at is a charge mostly on Argent that is itself Argent.
I understand that.
So I think the question is, do we allow stylistic choices like this or just say no?
That's my point. Is I understand why it's classically not allowed. I'm saying, do we want to allow it? Because I don't see any reason visually why not. And I think it allows a level of distinctiveness for the people that are wanting to use it. They're wanting to do it for a visual distinctiveness.
I'm actually tempted to say let's go ahead and allow it because
I don't see any reason why not to. I mean, like I said, I understand the classical reason why not. But I think it allows it to stand out better. And then also, for instance, and here's the biggest example. With our charges with the cutouts, if you want to use a sanguine charge that goes partially onto black on a black ordinary, but it's on an Argent field, you could fimbriate it Argent, and then all the cutouts will also be white and will be visible.
that makes sense. So, I'm a little lost.
I am too, but it was something that needed brought up, mostly for that one charge, one device. It does need a decision as to whether that's okay or not.
This is one I think I need to think about for a week.
Okay. All right.
Hello, Trinick. Hello, Trinick's cat.
This
The
is cat
purple.
number 2.
I was going to say that's a different color tail than was there earlier.
Yeah, okay, who changed the tincture on the tail?
Okay.
And also, is that tail overall?
Yes.
Well, actually, if you own a cat, you have cat fur overall.
Mm.
Over all your stuff.
Do we want to
over all
continue
your
talking
food,
about
over
the
all
cat
your clothes.
tail, or do we want to continue talking about heraldry?
Yeah, continue talking about heraldry.
Okay. The purple question. We have 2 different devices right now that have a purple that has 2 sections the same, essentially making a funky looking word.
Effectively making a new field division of a single pol.
Yeah.
And the corner. What's the corner called?
It's a very odd odd attempt at a canton.
Can you bring up the
Yes.
example?
It's effectively a funky canton.
Well-
I will make. I don't want to blast their names, but I will make one real quick.
We're going to do it anyway, yeah. I think my opinion is I don't care if it exists. We have a per chevron, which has 2/3 one color and 1/3 another color. So if you just turn that, however many degrees that is, 120 degrees, it's the same thing, only instead of the bottom being the odd color, it's the top right or the top left. So I don't have any heartburn. I know what the SCA says about it, and
Like this.
yeah. It's funky. I guess it is a new division, but to me it's no different than per chevron.
Yeah, to me it is different than per chevron, but
Well, no, not really. I mean, if you look at this, it's
yeah, I do see your
per
point.
chevron moved over. This is per chevron.
This
If it was
that
the
is.
bottom one.
It's per chevron. You're right. It's per chevron.
That's exact. Look at this. Look at the difference.
He's right. It's per chevron.
Exactly.
The original one is per chevron issuant from Dexter Chief. So yeah, we should go ahead and allow it. It's per chevron issuant from Dexter
Watch
Chief.
the change. It's exact.
Like I said, it's per chevron issuant from Dexter Chief.
It should be pointed out that it's exact the way Corin has coded it.
Well, yeah.
But the builder will do things that are not in accordance with SCA rules.
Yeah, it'll
which
do
we
things
don't.
that aren't in accordance with our rules.
Yeah, but we're not bound to follow them. But the SCA does not consider that valid.
And I understand the reasoning for it. I understand the reasoning in both directions, but for our purposes, I'm thinking that we should allow it for the very reason that you pointed out, Frank, that it is per chevron issuant from Dexter Chief.
And honestly, in the heater shape, it is more of the field than per chevron.
I think it should be allowed, but I don't think it should be called chevron because it's not at a 90-degree angle at the point.
That's true.
I think it should be described exactly as it is in the builder, which is purple, reversed, azure, argent, and argent.
Yeah. Purple, inverted, azure, argent, and argent is exactly what that is. So.
Yep.
And like everything, it seems okay to me now, but within a day or two, I'm sure someone will submit an idea that turns that on its head.
Inevitable. But I think we mostly figured this out in Trello, but it needs to be brought up. With our moratorium last week on voided, what about orals? Or however you pronounce that.
Orals are a separate type of ordinary from borders. I don't see a problem with them.
That was my opinion. The same way a ring is not a voided roundel.
It's an amulet.
I think, yeah. An oral is not a voided bordure. It's just a different type of bordure.
Yeah, the only reason that we're having this conversation is that
that's how you get it in the generator.
Yeah, is the wording in the generator makes it you have to build it as a border voided.
Yep. So, official vote, orals are okay?
Agree.
In favor of orals.
Yay, orals.
Go Baltimore orals.
So orals are an officially supported ordinaire now, right? Not a special case of something else. It's a real ordinaire.
It's a real ordinary.
Excellent.
Okay. Now, we have case-by-case situations. There are a number of things. We say, well, we'll decide that case by case. Somebody proposed, and I think it's a very good idea, those devices that required a case-by-case decision should not go into the gallery.
I agree with that. Because by putting them in the gallery, we draw people's attention to them and draw them to going, but.
Exactly. So, official?
We have to. Do we disclaim that when issuing those devices?
I would say yes. We should disclaim
What?
that. We should tell our clients that if it requires a case-by-case decision, that their arms will not end up in the gallery.
Yes. Yes. I'm sorry I keep saying what when you say something, Grant. Your microphone is a little fuzzy, and I have hearing issues.
I'll get headphones next time.
Okay.
Hello, Grant's throat.
Well, hopefully soon, and as embarrassing as this is to admit as a 30-something, I should have a hearing aid soon. So
It's not embarrassing to admit. I have a friend who's 22 who wears hearing aids.
I've needed one probably about that long, but I got given a hearing aid, and I just have to go get it fitted. So.
If my hearing problem was one that was would be improved by hearing aids, I'd been fitted with them when I was 4.
Okay, with the introduction of Trello and the, oh my goodness, amazing organization abilities of it. Thank you, Trenik, for talking us into this.
Trenik, you are a saint.
So, with the introduction of Trello, do we need all of the different folder categories on the Google Drive, or just a, submitted and completed folder?
I'd say submitted and completed.
Okay.
I think it would help to keep the technically clean separate as well.
The what?
The technically cleaned.
Yeah.
Even though we have that organized on the Trello?
Right, because that way we can grab them real quick and put them on the wiki. Once they're clean.
Okay, so submitted, and then from submitted to technically clean to on the wiki. Okay.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
That works.
And I agree with Trenik. Have technically clean inside approved as a subfolder.
Okay. Okay. We have a potential conflict. Do we want to talk about that on the air or off the air?
We have a potential conflict. I'd actually like to have this on the air so that we can have a record of what our debate process is on such a question at this point in time.
Okay. Trenik, you're our Trello master. Is there a way to pull up just a category within a board?
One of the labels, you mean the color-coded labels?
The just to compare category under devices.
By categories, though, do you mean the labels, the colors?
No. Go to the device submissions board.
I think she wants to do a screen share of just those 3 that are in that.
Yes, I don't want to show all of the others and what category they're under.
Oh, I see.
I'll tell you what, I will make a new board real quick and stick just those 3, copy them into that. There we go.
No, the answer though is you can't just separate out one particular category.
Yeah, well, there's a
That's
workaround.
okay. I'm getting around it. It'll just take a second.
Yeah, just create a new temporary board.
Yep, I'm making a test board. And then give me a second, talk amongst yourselves or something.
Talk. Words, I'm making them. English, I'm using it.
Okay, I'll say we went from last week at night 40 degrees to this week 70 degrees at night. That's just insane.
Dear gods, please tell me you're talking in Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
all right, Frank. Wait till tomorrow. It's going to swing again.
All right. As long as it stops my grass from growing, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, we went from 90 down to 60.
Wow. Well.
Yeah, we went from 80 went from 80 last Wednesday to just below freezing overnight. Grass, my one bane. That sounds like the worst weakness for a superhero ever. No, correction. The worst weakness a superhero could possibly have would be oxygen.
Okay. I am successful. I will not be defeated by inanimate objects.
I will.
Okay. So these are our three cases.
Looking at them visually, they're similar, but I'm actually not seeing conflicts here. And I'll tell you why.
Okay. Now, before you go into your explanation, the main difference seems to be reversing the black and white.
Mm-hmm.
And you're counting that as each one changing being a difference.
Yep.
Whereas, to me, in my mind, it's effectively counter-changing and makes it just a single difference.
Counter-changing is a difference for each thing that is counter-changed. What I'm looking at here is Xandaro's is Sable on a pile argent, an Ankh Sable, and a border argent. So the addition of the... So what we're looking at in comparison to Stein's is the addition of the pile as a new charge, the inversion of the color of the Ankh as a new charge, and if we want to look at it from a primary, secondary, tertiary point of view, the fact that it is sitting on the pile now makes the Ankh a secondary.
That's a field division.
You're right, it is a field division, that's per pile. But it's still, you're changing...
Okay.
You're changing the field. It's now a Sable and Argent field, so there's one major division. And you're changing the color of the Ankh. There's the second.
Okay, now as a side note, those two are not actually a conflict with each other because they're a family and they fall under cadency.
Yes,
but it's mostly the Zandaro to Alexander.
Okay, then here...
Or Stein to Alexander. Like I said, it's just they're so close.
Then here, what we're looking at is Alexander's is... I'm trying to figure out what the field division on Alexander's is. Is that an escutcheon?
A pile and arched.
Oh, a pile and arched. Okay. So you're changing the colors of both the field and the pile. There's a single change. And the addition of the Sable Oral is a second change. Also, there's the Blue Celeste Fimbriation, but I'm ignoring that.
Well, we said the presence or color of a fimbriation is not counted as a difference.
Yep.
Should we...
The change of the... in fact, it's an entire change of field color from... it's a complete inversion of field color and the attendant change of Ankh color.
And see, to me, visually, all it is an inversion, a single difference.
Yeah, not talking heraldically, just visually. The presence in the Sable Oral in Alexander, if I looked at that without the Oral, I would see a white shield with a black thing on it. And when I look at Stein, I see a black shield with a white thing on it. So, to me, I see a visual difference. But the fact that the Sable Oral is there makes me kind of see a black field on both of them, even though that's not what it is.
I guess the thing is, what we're running into here is we have to, if we're going to build a conflict rule set, it's going to have to be very technical, and this bumps right up against the technical edge.
Like I said, I figured this is, as I commented on one of the cards, I think this is literally as close as they can get without being cut and dry, either good or bad.
Yeah, this is the perfect test example. This is, and to be honest, If I were to put this up in front of the entire SCA College of Heralds, we would be getting just as much of a debate as we are now. There'd just be 1,200 of us.
Like I said, to me, because it's the exact same colors. Now, see, if one of them actually changed colors, I would not be having such a hard time with this. But because they are all black and white only, because the variation doesn't count, to me, the changing of the colors is only a single difference because it's a direct inversion.
Except that I disagree, because you have to look at the changing of the color of the charge and the changing of the color of the field.
See, I think I definitely understand both perspectives here. Technically, it is two differences with the change of the charge and the change of the field, but also, black and white are explicit opposites, and if you put an argent onc on an argent pile, you can't see it at all. And when you flip it to black, the fact that they're explicit opposites, that it's effectively countercharged is what gets me, just like Narante said.
Right. Like I said, to me, the whole thing is just counterchanged. The whole thing. Except then you get the oral instead of a solid back. If this one had a solid black border, I would say that's just counterchanged, and that's only a single difference.
Except that it's not. It's not a single difference, it's two differences. I don't see why you're saying that counterchanging everything is only a single difference. It isn't. It's a difference for each thing changed.
I can tell you exactly why I say that. If my computer would cooperate. Hello? Okay, my computer will not cooperate. At any rate, if I pulled this up in Paint Shop, if it would open, oh, there it goes, maybe. My computer does not like Hangouts. At any rate, if I pulled that charge up in Paint Shop with a single click, I could change it to the other one.
Yes, but we're not talking about
invert.
In shop. We're talking about in rules. Yeah, that's exactly it. Arms are not... Yeah, as Amber and Ronan are pointing out, field plus charge equals two changes. Visually, it's a one-click change, but in text, it changes the description entirely.
Just to be clear, I'm not actually invested either way. I'm playing devil's advocate.
I know you are.
So, just to be clear, I don't actually care either way. I actually agree with you. But I'm trying to think like all the players that are going to try and lawyer us.
But the point that it comes in there is they can lawyer us all they want. The rules state that a change in the color of a charge is a distinct change. A change in the color of a field is a distinct change. Change both, that's two distinct changes.
Okay, I just want to ask, if you change the line of the pile, make it inarched, is that a change as well?
No, that's still pile to pile to pile.
Yeah, we actually addressed the what's that called? The style of the borders.
Mm-hmm.
What's that called? Treatment.
Yep.
We discussed treatments, and originally Cora and Adion were saying they wanted treatments to be a difference, but I pointed out several cases in which that would be a disaster.
And you very successfully argued me away from my original position.
So no, that the inarch and the fimbriation are not considered differences.
So I think we're in agreement that those three are clear of each other.
Right. Like I said,
Yes.
I would have a little bit of a harder time specifically between Stein and Zandero. I might actually continue arguing that one, except that they're family
Zandero
and
is
then
Stein's
fall
son,
under
so.
cadency. Right.
Now, I would still continue arguing that no, there's two differences there too, but anyway, long story short, we are in agreement that they're all clear.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, 4 in favor, none opposed. And does that clear out our agenda?
There is one thing I want to bring up not on the air, but otherwise, yes.
Type into the sidebar what it is you want to bring up not on the air. Because if it is what I think it is, I might actually want to bring it up on the air. Oh, no, that is not what I'm wanting to bring up.
Okay, well, what are you wanting to bring up?
It is the matter of Corin. And the fact that Corin, I'm talking directly to you now. We need you here. Desperately. If we are sticking with your generator as the generator that we are going to present to Portalarium, we need to see progress on it by the 15th of May. If we do not have progress by the 15th of May, there's time-wise, I don't see how we can do this. I don't want to have to call you out in public, but I've been trying to reach you through every other method that I have available to me. And I have not been able to contact you. You haven't gotten back to me. I'm sorry. We want to work with you. We very much want to work with you. And the amount of help that you've brought to us is incredible. The aid that you have provided is invaluable, and you're one of the sovereigns for a very good reason. You know more about this than anyone in the college, probably including me. And so I don't want to hurt you in any way. It's just please get back in touch with us. We're floundering without you. That was not fun. So, anything else on the agenda?
I don't think so.
Anything else that someone wants to put on the agenda?
No, but just to review, for next week, we're going to look at light colors against metals and dark colors against sable, and see if we need to...
The ongoing debate between light and darkness.
Yeah, exactly. So that'll be most of my weekend. I'd rather do that than mow.
I do, on the subject of please everybody get active on the sub-forum, on the pro boards, on the Trello. We've got a whole list now of charges that have been sorted through and devices that just need a little bit of work, just a little tweaking here or there. We really need folks to get active and help us getting this stuff cleared out. So please, everyone involved with the college, be checking the sub-forum, the pro boards, and the Trello at least once a day if you can. I mean, you know, life happens, we all understand that, but, you know, please try.
In some cases.
So just
Go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
No, I was done.
Oh, I was just gonna say maybe change the the label for minor tweaks to something other than yellow? Because it's very hard to notice that.
That's not our. We can't adjust those.
Oh, you can't?
Yeah, trust me, if we could,
They are what they are.
Well, maybe use the needs work orange one instead of minor tweaks needed, because I mean, I was looking through and I thought there was no labels on any of them until I just looked carefully now.
Yeah, trust me, if we could, we would make the bloody thing follow the rule of nature. But
We'll look into that. I'll
Things
try
that-
and get
When
somebody
you're
assigned to
using
change.
people to work on things, use the orange one instead of the yellow one. It'll make it much more noticeable.
I'll try and get somebody to switch those over, but it's going to be really labor intensive because we're actually going to have to change the labels on everything.
so if no one else has anything, you do, Frank, or were you waving? You're mute.
I was waving goodbye.
Ah, okay. Well, in that case, I think it's time for all of us to say goodbye. So, goodbye.